Welcome to the Two Marks and a Spark Wrestling Podcast Show YouTube thing, Season 2, whatever the hell you want to call this son of a bitch. Uh, it's Season 2. Uncle Russ. Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello.
I am in
What an
endless
interesting week.
pain.
What an interesting week, huh?
That's a nice word for it.
Yeah. Where to
What the
begin?
fuck?
Oh man.
Would you
Well,
say that's a good way to describe everything? Like if you had to sum it up in one sentence, what the fuck?
what the fuck? Vince
What
is
the
back. Vince is back, and he's got his stink all over his creation again.
SmackDown was a lot better, but like that's not saying anything.
Right? It was better, but it still wasn't great.
Okay. In Hunter's defense, I don't think you could have done anything great after that Raw show. I
Right?
I don't. I think that you were just screwed. So we've got a lot of news to go over, and we're gonna go over as much of it as we can. I tried to do an extra
Sure.
this week. I couldn't. It just came out sloppy, and I ended up canceling it. But I want to start with kind of the weird thing, which is Bailey may or may not have quit.
Right.
What the fuck is going on? So
Yeah.
Bailey put out a tweet that basically said something to the effect of sometimes even the best love stories come to an end by. I think that's exactly what she said.
Okay.
And she hasn't said anything on Twitter since.
Well, I guess we don't know what's going on until we find out.
So there's a possibility that Bailey quit. Man, this is a bad week for them, isn't it? Vince is back. Bailey quit. What's next? Oh, Drew McIntyre didn't show up for TV. Oh, this is going real well.
Yeah. Drew McIntyre is one of their biggest draws, and they're pulling him. He wants to leave, so if they're going to pull him from appearances, then they've got even less quality stuff to put
No.
on TV.
Here's the thing. They don't want to pay him
Yeah.
like what he thinks he's worth, and I'm sure whatever he thinks he's worth is probably about what half of what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, worth noting a couple minutes, well, more like an hour or two before we started recording this, Sabu was taken to a hospital from a convention thing. So
Oh, had not heard that. Hope
yeah,
he's fine.
that just happened. So we'll keep up with that as we go along here. We've got probably a good 2 hour show ahead of us. It is the season premiere of season 2. We
Right.
got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of stuff to go over, and maybe some stuff we're adding to the show after this week. I don't know. Frankly, Raw just let's get through Raw. Let's do this stupid Raw show as quickly as we can because I frankly don't want to talk about it. Uh
I just want to real quick send out condolences to the family and friends of
Bushwhacker Butch,
Butch.
which they did not acknowledge on Raw, by the way. They waited until Friday for that.
Until Friday on SmackDown. Yeah.
I don't know if they acknowledged it on NXT. Frankly, I didn't bother.
I have no idea what happened on that show this week.
I didn't bother because I don't care. What I did care about, at least when it started, was Monday Night Raw. We got the longest recap package you have ever seen in your life. I think this was actually 10 minutes.
Yeah. This was really padded. There was very, very little actual wrestling.
Oh, Russ, I timed it. It was three minutes of professional wrestling in the first hour of Raw. Do you know what this reminded me of? Do you remember when TNA was live on Mondays?
Yeah.
Do you remember how bad that show got after they went live on Mondays?
Yes.
Do you remember how good that show was before they did that?
Yeah. This is a show that's I don't know what they're doing. They have blown.
They don't know what they're doing, Russ.
Our audience,
This was a show for one, and his name is Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and
it's too bad because there's some great wrestlers that had great moments at WrestleMania, And a lot of these guys, their talent and what they're able to accomplish in the ring, it gets overshadowed in the news by all this political bullshit with Vince and the company being sold. And
Oh, and they
it's
put
unfortunate.
Auschwitz in a video package.
What's that?
And they put Auschwitz in a video package.
Oh yes,
Let's not
yes.
forget about that. That happened. We'll get to that. I'll get there. Trust me. That's a whole nother thing. So
That's really really freaking bizarre.
this whole situation is fucking stupid. Anyway, so the fuck. This stupid video package happens. It goes on for like 20 minutes. I swear to God, Triple H comes out and says absolutely nothing.
Right. He basically, hey, let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. WWE is going to be here forever. We're all together in this WWE universe. We're going to never stop building on the foundation that our wonderful chairman Vince has laid down for us. Everything's good.
And then proceeded to go backstage, and I imagine probably got hit with chloroform or something, because the rest of the show, I don't think he had anything to do with it. I think he left.
It was just a really, really
freakishly weird
show. There was no coherent sense the way the show unfolded.
Here's what I think happened. I think they knocked Triple H out, like somehow, right when he walked back through the curtain for the next 2 hours, because the last hour of this show was semblance of normal, but everything else was just, what the fuck is going on? Something that made some coherent sense was Roman Reigns came out, and this is the only thing that made sense for roughly the next 3 hours.
Yeah, and I'll give Cody credit. He's trying to make the best of a bad situation, but I can't imagine he's having a great time cutting these promos, because we were basically led to believe he was going to be the champion. And after the fans getting screwed on with Sammy not winning and him not winning, now he has to.
Does this not make that Sammy thing look that much stupider, by the way?
Yeah. Well, he's got to stand there with a straight face and try to make us believe, well, okay, fine. I don't get a title shot. Well, how about a tag team match? Just out of nowhere. How about a tag team match? Why? What the hell's that supposed to accomplish?
This booking made Tony Khan look like a fucking genius. You know, I'm kind of starting to understand why everybody like jerked Tony off for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm remembering how bad Vince was. Like, I blocked a lot of it out of my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, just I try not to remember bad wrestling because it just makes me angry. And now I'm remembering, wait a second. This is the reason we all thought AEW was so wonderful.
Yeah, even when it's not perfect, at least it's something different. At least you had a sense that they're trying.
At least it's coherent.
Yeah. Sometimes you watch WWE and you get the idea that they're not even really trying. They're just coasting.
What did I tell you this week? At least when AEW, even if it's not good, at least it makes sense most of the time. At least it makes sense. At least it's logical. So anyway, Roman and Cody stand there and shoot the breeze for about 20 minutes before they finally decide they're going to have a tag match. Cody and Brock fucking Lesnar, which the second Brock came out, I said, holy fuck. I was like, okay, either Vince has somehow found a way to convince Brock to wrestle for more than 7 seconds on television, or they're pulling some hokey bullshit.
Yeah.
Lean towards the hokey bullshit. We'll come back to that.
But that didn't stop them from just constantly selling this match throughout, just hyping it constantly, right up until 10 minutes before the end of the show.
So we got a match.
They were hyping it like crazy. They were overselling. The announcers were overselling everything dramatically in this whole show. It's almost like they had Vince McMahon in their ear or something, telling them what to do.
Oh, you want to bet? I bet they did. Anyway, so we got Omos versus Elias. If this is a match, then I'm 7 feet tall. I mean, fun fact, I'm 5'11". like, what the fuck? These guys maybe went for 2 minutes, and that was it.
Yeah. It was just
We get the best best.
it feels very, very much like old 80s WWF when Omos is in there. Even the commentary, the way they call it. Back to the
Not
era of the
good.
blubbering giants. That's not a good thing.
By the way, I know you were a fan of wrestling when it was the era of the Giants in the 80s and the early
Sure.
90s.
Yeah.
I think you would agree that the wrestling is like 100 times better now in terms of just ring work than it was
Sure.
then.
Yep. It is, especially in WWE, WWF.
Talk about the booking all you want, but
Right.
the ring work is 100 times better. Anyway, we get the only backstage segment this week that made any sort of fucking sense whatsoever.
And which one was that?
The Usos go to talk to Roman. Paul comes out, and the tension begins to boil.
You guys could have the night off, basically.
We don't see them again, I don't think.
No.
We get another fucking recap package.
Yes, we did about the Hall of Fame, I believe.
Then we get Kathy Kelly, who was clearly out of her element. She was ringside with Bad Bunny.
Yeah, hyping the Puerto Rico show.
I don't know what they're doing with Bad Bunny, and I'm fine if he works a match in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I don't mind Bad Bunny doing matches. I actually kind of like Bad Bunny. I think he's cool. I think the fact that he's working this hard to be this good at wrestling this early is great. And I think if his music career ever just doesn't work out for any reason, though the guy's damn near a billionaire from his music alone, so the chances that happens are like zero. But we don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be a tag match, though I would almost prefer he work a singles match. I would prefer him and Priest work a singles match to a tag match, but that's just because I'm kind of a mark for continuity, and I think him and Priest having an actual feud after teaming together a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think in terms of storyline purposes, people are going to say, oh, but the thing with Dominic, I don't give a shit about that. Like, give me a finish to him and Priest, and then you can talk about him and Dominic. So Ray comes out, embraces Bad Bunny. They do the whole thing. Ray cuts a promo. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Here comes Austin Theory. We still don't believe in Austin Theory. This still sucks. Shout out to Coors Banquet. Anyway.
He's beginning to grow on me a little bit.
Well, this promo, if he was growing on you, this promo fucked it right up.
Yeah. Well, his best line was those calling John Cena a part-timer.
Look, dude, Austin Theory was bad enough to make John Cena not want to do WrestleMania. So,
Well, but here's another thing about the way this is booked. A match just breaks out of nowhere for no reason, or it's like something starts backstage and it spills into the ring, and they throw a referee in, and then all of a sudden it's a match. It's like they're trying to convince us this is really being booked on the fly.
By the way, the first hour of Raw was supposed to be commercial free. Do you know what time they went to commercial? 7:55 Central. Raw starts at 7.
Right.
Okay. There was about 3 minutes total of wrestling in the first hour of this show.
It was bad.
What?
Almost squashbacks there.
It would be one thing if all the promos were really good, right?
Yeah.
That would be one thing. Or if we got one really good match that was, like 15, 20 minutes. Nope, we got like 2 minutes of Omos and Elias, and then like 3 minutes of this, and that was it. So I guess it was 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just not looking promising.
And they went to
Thing,
commercial.
I look at my clock and I see we're getting into the second hour here, and I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a long night watching Raw.
Dude, like I try not to go on my phone too much when I'm watching these shows because obviously we got to review them. But I was checking my phone like every 5, 6 minutes here because I was bored.
Yeah, you just
And it
wanted.
wasn't even that it was like bad necessarily. It was boring. Like I prefer bad wrestling to boring. You know what I mean?
At least there's something going on in the ring.
Like if it's bad, I can laugh at it. I can come on here and say, well, this was a little fucking ridiculous and kind of silly, but, and I didn't like it, but fuck, it was
You weren't
something.
bored, were you? At
Huh?
least you weren't bored.
Exactly. I was bored. And this Theory Mysterio match was not boring for what we saw of it. Which,
Yeah, and here's the thing: it was like 10 minutes, and you got to understand that 3 or 4 minutes of that was during the commercial break.
yep.
So we've still got about, even after this match, we've got maybe not even quite 10 minutes of wrestling so far. Well,
And they've broke the second hour now.
Yeah.
And you're noticing we're mentioning time a lot more than we usually do. There's a reason for that. We'll get there. So after the match, Theory gets the win off the Judgment Day bullshit. Anyway, Priest and Dominic end up beating the shit out of Ray. They confront Bad Bunny, beat the shit out of him. Bad Bunny takes a really nasty bump through the announcer's desk.
He took a pretty good bump there.
It looked nasty, but
credit. Yeah, it looked painful.
We come back from break and they show Pierce freaking out, and they were really selling this attack on Bad Bunny. And I don't blame them for the way. Actually, this was one of the better done things on this show, was the fact that Pierce was freaking out about this. He's like, and he basically tells Priest, dude, what the fuck?
Well, he didn't.
He was a guest. You can't do. He basically tells him, dude, he was a guest. He was here sitting front row. He's a celebrity. You can't do that. And Priest basically tells him, I'm Damian Priest. I can do whatever I want. Which makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we then get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This was a bright spot. Owens and Zayn come out, say they want to celebrate, and they want a match. Here come the Street Profits. This was a non-title match. Goes about 13 minutes. This was the best match on the show.
Yeah.
It was also, I think, the second to last match on the show.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. You got two teams that could work. But
and Owens and Zayn get the win. This was a non-title match for some godforsaken reason. And then we get Seth Rollins, who does absolutely fucking nothing.
Through a whole commercial break. He stands there being worshipped. Go. And then he walks out, and I'm like, what the hell? That's there's got to be like last minute changes being made behind the scenes.
Me and you were texting throughout this show. Worth noting, me and you.
The show was weird.
Me and Russ do not usually text during the shows.
Right. But this was spectacularly awful. This was a rare exception.
If something crazy happens,
can you believe this shit?
Me and Russ talk frequently throughout the week, usually on days where there's not a show. We try to keep it to that because we're both watching the shows and trying not to bother each other. We already deal with each other enough when we have to record this thing for 2 hours a week. And guess what? you're signed up for a whole nother season, bud. This is season 2 now. You're
There you
still
go.
stuck with me.
Oh, well, you're stuck with me, so we're even. So
Well, at least I didn't have to beg you to come back. Anyway, so this Seth segment absolutely sucked. Bobby Lashley then tells Kathy Kelly that he's pissed off that he wasn't on WrestleMania. He then kills Mustafa Ali, and that sucked, and it was over, and I was angry.
that was fast. But
As a fan,
Bronson Reed wants him to be his uncle. Did you catch that? Bronson Reed, he wants him to be
I caught it. I
Uncle
was trying
Bobby.
not to.
Well, I guess they're going to have him back. That might be all right.
So we get another
Ali
Roman segment.
gimmick is really weird too. It doesn't make any sense.
Half the stuff on this show 70% of this show doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we get another Roman Reigns segment. Again, the only coherent thing left on this show is Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
This poor son of a bitch. I understand why he wanted to be part-time. You know why? Because he's like, I'm the only thing that makes any fucking sense around here.
Yes. Everybody else is just disappointing the tribal chief.
He probably just doesn't want to deal with anybody. He's probably just like, fuck it. I'm going home.
All right.
Worth noting.
Tell the wise man I'm going home. Going back to
Worth
the
noting. Roman Reigns is going to be working premium live events between now and SummerSlam, but he will not be working Backlash in Puerto Rico. As for why he won't be working Backlash in Puerto Rico, Roman Reigns, bitch.
Yeah.
That's the answer to a lot of your questions, by the way.
Sure.
Roman Reigns, bitch.
Yep.
He asks Heyman if the Usos are gone and if he knew that Lesnar was going to be there. We're back to that, by the way. That's like, 2 years ago. Did you know Brock was... We're back to that.
Right.
I swear it's like he never left. Talking about Vince. Like he never left.
Sad but true.
I didn't do this for the sake of continuity and the sake of this show actually making sense to most people. I almost put that picture of Vince from CNBC with that mustache and his fake black hair. I almost put that as my background.
Oh, yeah.
I should have done it. I really should have. I think it would have been funny.
Trying to look like Errol Flynn or some shit,
He looks like Gomez Adams, okay?
There you go.
He looks like fucking... He looks like the worst Gomez Adams knockoff you've ever seen. Anyway.
Yeah.
This Roman segment was fine. They made a fun jab at Brock taking 6 to 9 months off after WrestleMania. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
We get a Bianca Rhea segment where they teased a feud with those two. I'll come back to that and why I think it will never happen. Because we're not allowed to have nice things. Let's remember that.
That's right.
We get Liv and Raquel versus Dakota and Io with no Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey's not around.
If you want to know why,
her absence.
If you want to know why, Vince McMahon. That's why. This match was fine. The original plan, by the way, was we were going to get a women's #1 contenders tournament. I would have vastly preferred that to this.
And I think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez get a title shot against.
I would presume they're winning.
Lita and.
I would presume they're winning the titles.
Yeah, that'd
because
be all right.
Liv needs something to do, and Raquel. Man, she should have been the Raw Women's Champion already. I'm gonna be honest. Raquel probably already should have won that damn title.
Yes. She's one of the best they've got, I think.
Anyway, we get a Miz segment with the least exciting return in Monday Night Raw history. The jabroni is back. Matt Riddle, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
God damn it.
I imagine the Matt Riddle fans were thrilled. I couldn't care less.
Bro. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Right. Well, and the Miz just lost his temper and started kicking the shit out of the.
I thought we were going to get another random ass match out of this, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Then we're about 2.5 hours in, and they're still hyping the hell out of the biggest tag team match in Raw history, just right around the corner.
By the way, I talked to you about this off screen, but I've been watching 1996 back for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm into February of 96, so I'm past the Rumble. Shawn won the Rumble and what I thought was the most underwhelming Rumble I've ever seen. Other than, it wasn't a bad Rumble, it was just like, it was fine. It was a weird show. But I'm on the episode right before the last In Your House before Mania. And the main event of that show is Bret Hart versus Goldust.
Oh, yeah.
And they're both champions at the time. Goldust had just beaten Razor for the Intercontinental title. And Bret has the WWE title, obviously.
Right.
And that's a champion versus champion match on Raw.
Right.
And guess what? They actually did the fucking match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a schmoz. They actually did the. They did the match.
They actually booked it and kept their promise.
And you know what? You know what else they did? They promoted it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. You don't get much build up to these surprises they fling on us nowadays.
We did get an announcement for something I'm very excited for on SmackDown, but I'll get there. So, anyway, this show goes on and on and on. I'm not going to cover everything. I frankly don't have the patience, time, or frankly, like the care to. We finally get to the frickin' main event after an interview segment with Saxton, Lynch, and Stratus that went absolutely nowhere. The main event, if you want to call it that. I timed it roughly. Entrances took roughly 10 minutes.
Right. Just go on forever.
Okay. They had Reigns and Solo come out together. Why did Cody and Brock not come out together? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, even if they were going to do what they did.
Because that would have taken up less time.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you could still do the angle that you did. Which, by the way, the angle to end this show makes more sense than anything else on this fucking show. And I'm actually okay with what they did here. I don't have a problem with this. What they did angle-wise at the end of the show, I actually thought was done really, really well. But they took too long to get there. Anyway.
Oh, God. You're right there.
By the way, can we acknowledge how cool a remix of Kingdom with Brock's music would have been?
Yeah.
Like, even if they only used it once and never again, which is clearly the case. They do in-ring introductions for this match for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And right at the end of the introductions, they introduce Cody. He does his big thing where he throws his arms up in the air, looks at the sky, probably says something to Dusty, and comes back down to earth. And turns around, gets F5'd, and that was it.
And that was it. And then Paul and Solo and
Roman looked just as confused as everybody else.
Like
he was just like,
the story is they were not in on it. They didn't know. So they did the smart thing and just it said Brock Lesnar's on a tear. Why don't we just get the hell out of here and leave?
I think it was
That's what
Heyman
any
who like
sane
tapped
person would
Roman on
do.
the shoulder and like pointed at the ropes, like, dude, we gotta get out. Like, we don't want to be here for this.
Right. And it went on and on and
No, but
on.
this was really well done because it's two very good workers. Brock
Yeah.
is great.
And,
Cody is
and
great.
he was selling the shit out of it. It looked very real, didn't it? Very brutal.
It looked like Brock actually just went nuts and started beating the shit out of Cody. And when I say he beat the shit out of him, I mean, you could have told me Cody died as a result of his injuries here.
It
Could have
looked
worked
that
me,
bad.
brother.
It looked that bad. It really did. And it just went on. But here's the thing. Here's the part that is not so good. You know, we're always seeing the security and the referees come to pull everybody apart. No, we didn't see any of that. They were all afraid to get in the ring. And
No, they tried.
nobody, no friend. Apparently, Cody doesn't have any friends in the locker room. Nobody came to his aid.
By the way,
Yeah.
am I the only one that thinks WWE should try to bring Dustin back when they got Cody?
Well, I think it'd be great.
They should have at least tried to get Dustin. And maybe they did, I don't know. But like, because Dustin would have ran out there. Yes, Dustin would have gotten his absolute shit kicked in. As I think pretty much anybody that got in Brock's way, that because that was one of those
Yeah.
Brock's on a warpath moments where you could have sent anybody you wanted out there,
All
and
right.
guess what?
They're gonna be clobbered.
It's Brock fucking Lesnar. It doesn't matter who you
Right.
send out there, they're gonna get killed. I mean,
Exactly.
he damn near chokes Cody to death with a chair. He puts him through the barricade.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
puts him through a table.
he's like the Incredible Hulk, man. He's just the madder he gets, the stronger he gets.
And he was pissed
He did a really good job of not looking like a baby face.
because he's not. They turned him heel.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years of having him face. It's been an interesting change. Now this is the Brock Lesnar we remember. Certainly, son of a bitch who just raised violence.
Where I thought they were going to go was he's a hired hitman because they always call him the mercenary. I thought they were going to say the bloodline paid him off.
Yeah,
which they could still go that way, but I don't think they will. Did you see Roman's face, by the way? He did such a good job selling this. He looked at Brock like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what?
His facials are always great. You know, his acting skills are very, very good.
He just looked at Brock like, what? What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And Solo just looked bewildered, like he deer in the headlights, like he didn't know what was going on. And Paul Heyman just looked scared.
Well, it's just weird though, you know, because after the first night of WrestleMania, we felt kind of optimistic. Not so after the second night. And then this is one of the strangest Raws after WrestleMania ever, if not the weirdest, maybe the worst, because it just leaves everything feeling so much more unresolved. We really don't know where in the hell this company's going.
We find out more on Friday, but we'll get there. Can we talk about some good wrestling?
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's
this Dynamite, that Raw show made this Dynamite show look like Van Gogh.
Like, that's right. And they were in Long Island too, so the crowd was hot.
But before we talk about Dynamite,
sure,
I do want to bring up. Thank God there's another wrestling company that's on television every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I know me and you come on here every week and we make fun of Tony Khan and we make fun of 170 wrestlers on the roster and we make fun of this and we make fun of that. But if you watch our reviews and you actually listen to what we say, an overwhelming majority of the time, we are positive about AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why that is, Russ?
Because I think they're doing a better job.
Because they're coherent.
they're trying to put forth a coherent, consistent product, and they've got some good talent, and they have more in-ring action and less outside of the ring and behind the scenes drama by
And
far than
here's
WWE. It's a whole
and
different
here's
style of storytelling.
and here's the thing. Tony Khan has never called themselves competition to WWE. In fact, quite the opposite. He's said that he's open to working with them.
Yeah.
He said that they are an alternative for mainstream wrestling. And man, I don't think that's ever been more true and more valid than it was this week.
Yeah.
Worth noting, they only did about 870,000 this week.
Okay.
But
Not
I
great,
do
but
I do want to point out that there was a lot going on. Baseball is doing massive numbers right now.
yep.
MLB ratings are up big. And the NBA is going into the final stretch.
Sure.
The NHL is going into the final stretch.
Like going on.
This is a bad time of year to be a wrestling company. Now, Raw did like 2 million on Monday. 2.3, I think they did. They're never going to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Not after that disaster. We don't have the SmackDown numbers as of recording. We're recording this Saturday at about 3 o'clock Central Time. We don't have the SmackDown numbers. We won't have them till Monday. I will try to post them somewhere, but you know where to find them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hard to find. This Dynamite show was fantastic. And I feel like Tony saw Raw Monday and said, oh, this is going to be easy.
Well, from the start of the show, it took off like a shot of adrenaline. After the experience of sitting through Monday Night Raw, it immediately just had a different feel, went in a different direction.
It didn't even feel like you were watching the same genre of product.
Yeah.
We start with what was supposed to be Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson. It was not that.
No, it was not.
Something far better.
The rumors were answered.
Ricky comes out. It looks like they're going to start the match. And before Ricky can even get in the ring, Bullet Club. And then we hear the slash. And my eyes went about as wide as they could. And I said, oh, no way. I don't know about you, but my exact reaction was no fucking way.
Well, my reaction was, oh, here comes that switchblade filler that Ben likes so much.
No, I didn't think it was going to happen. Do you know why I didn't think it was going to happen? Because all we've heard since he left New Japan was he was going to WWE.
That's right. That's all we heard.
And like AEW had like this outside chance if they really, prayed to wrestling Jesus.
Well, I think that he's better off going there. He'll be much better booked and used there.
It's not saying much.
Yeah. Although he could have, we could have seen him wrestle AJ Styles in WWE, but anyway, they basically came out there and double teamed.
By the way, Jay White got this massive pop, like just this incredible pop.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I had to pinch myself. I felt like I was in the Matrix. It was fucking insane. I think I went into delirium.
Because the crowd was really, really, really huge.
Well, Jay White, dude, is going to be a big star in the States. Like, his gimmick will work in the States. He can be the Switchblade over here.
Mm-hmm.
He probably couldn't have been the Switchblade in WWE, but in AEW, he can be the Switchblade. And he does a lot of stuff that isn't exactly traditional to pro wrestling, but it works in terms of his promos.
Yeah.
And because his promos are very much monologue-y in the sense that he says what he has to say and he gets out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to send you a promo he did at a press conference if you haven't seen it. He did it at a press conference after he lost at Wrestle Kingdom a couple of years ago. This was in 2020 before the world shut down. And he's like, maybe I should just go home. And he cuts this awesome 10-minute promo about how you people don't respect me. You don't value me for who I really am. You don't understand how great I am. And it's just this great fucking promo. Anyway. So Jay White is in AEW. He is in fact All Elite. They popped up the graphic.
Yeah.
And I about shit my britches. Holy fuck.
Great. That's great.
We got Shivani backstage with Jericho talking about the thing with Adam Cole last week that we didn't cover here because we had WrestleMania shit going on.
Correct.
That Adam Cole match he had with Garcia was fantastic, by the way.
Yes, it was. Jericho's pissed because they had a big celebration in the middle of the ring with streamers and balloons and confetti and all this shit.
Oh, and a pretty
girl.
girl.
Daniel Garcia just lays there in a lump.
Oh, and he was also mad about the pretty girl.
Your opponent.
He was also mad about the pretty girl.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is his fucking fiance. So
that's right. Yeah.
Why are you mad about that? That's kind of, you're mad because Adam Cole has a girlfriend.
Right. And then guess who comes along and interrupts, sticks his 2 cents.
Keith Lee shows up out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Looking about 5 years older than the last time I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
No shot at Keith Lee, by the way, because still looks great.
I just hate, he looks great. I just hate to hear him talk.
I actually thought he was good here.
I don't, his whole cadence, it's just so, it sounds so phony. Maybe it'll grow on me, but so far it rubs me the wrong way, but maybe it's supposed to.
Who knows? I think we're getting Jericho versus Lee, though, and I'm very okay with that. Then we get the House of Black versus the Best Friends.
Trench bomb, dropping them off in the van.
Sue is back.
Yes, Sue.
Who might be the most, other than Danhausen, might be the most over person in that group.
That could be. You know, she's the most over mother since Judy Bagwell.
Sue is very over.
Yeah. She seems like a hell of a nice lady.
She's never said a word. She's never... No, I'm sorry. She ran Miro over with a van. That's about...
Oh, that's right.
She did do that. But,
anyway, Sue's back with the van, with the white van.
This was fun.
And, you know, and Trip Beretta, you know, he kisses his mom. You know, you got to respect the guy who loves his mom.
And they went out there and they had a hell of a match with the House of Black, who continue to just prove why they are 3 of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yes.
And they retain their trios titles, as they should, for like the next year. And they probably won't, but they should. This was great. We get Matthews won with a curb stomp, by the way, and a little wave to Seth Rollins. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Excalibur throws to a thing with Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus's new look looks fucking badass.
Yeah, it looks pretty evil looking. He's like an evil Luchasaurus now.
He looks like Luchasaurus if he went to a metal concert.
Yeah.
Like every day of the week.
There you go. You know, like looks like
a member of Metallica. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a Guar or something like that.
I am very excited to see what they do with those two.
Yeah.
And they should absolutely put the world title on Christian Cage. For the simple purpose that he deserves it.
Yeah. Well,
then
we'll see.
Then we got another really good match between Jamie Hayter and Riho. I expected nothing from this match and got a lot. The reason I expected nothing? Because of the way they book their women's division.
Mhm.
But I think they're learning.
This match was okay.
I think they're getting the point. There was no interference. Thank God.
Right. It was a clean match. Good sportsmanship afterward. Jimmy Hayter's definitely a babyface now. Being, congratulating her or respectful
Jamie
to her
Hayter's had to
opponent.
be a babyface for a while. Jamie Hayter might be the most over person other than MJF in that company.
That's right.
I mean, maybe with Adam Cole back now, she's third, but Jesus Christ. Although Anna Jay, I don't know if you saw this on Rampage a couple weeks ago. Anna Jay might have just solidified herself as the top heel in the company. Did you see what Anna Jay said on Rampage like a week or two ago? I think it was last week.
No,
She's got a fat ass
me.
and a bad attitude.
Yeah.
The greatest line in the history of professional wrestling. Oh my God. So Jamie wins with the haterade. Then we get Renee Paquette backstage interviewing the Outcasts.
Right.
Little
promo.
Decent promo. They basically told Hayter to watch her back. Then we get 2.0 and Jake Hager. The kings of sports entertainment.
That's right. Matt Menard. Yeah, I like to listen to him talk. He's great. And
that New York accent. That New York accent. That's so fake.
Yeah, it's so fun though. Then we get something special.
The Acclaimed come out.
Right.
And this is the biggest pop they've gotten in months.
Right.
And they do the scissor thing and it actually gets a pop this time. Anyway. They make a match for Rampage that we didn't watch. We then get MJF Day.
This was
maybe the segment of the week.
This was a lot of fun.
No, this was the segment of the week.
Yeah.
MJF,
when him and Jericho did the song and dance a couple years ago, I hated that. But this I loved. I thought this was good. The guy got skills.
MJF comes out and he's got a whole fucking band.
Yep, the Mike Rogers band.
This reminded me of something from like David Letterman.
Oh yeah.
This was fantastic.
Yeah, Louis Prima. He was channeling, Taz mentioned he's channeling Louis Prima. Look it up, kids. But that's exactly what I thought,
This was great. They had the mayor of Oyster Bay.
Mm-hmm. Who apparently has some heat with the rest of the town.
No, he has heat because he's back in MJF.
Yeah. I like
when Taz said, this guy's got heat,
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. All right, he even had an ADD chant.
We even got an ADD chant,
That's
neurodivergency. Right. Let's support it. Anyway. This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
So he cuts this promo and he just starts thrashing everybody. And he starts saying he's better than you and you know it. And cuts down Jungle Boy and Guevara and Darby. He goes back to the stage. Looks like he's going to do another number. And then he gets that shit kicked out of him by Jungle Boy.
There you go.
And
we were saying that you were saying it looked most likely to you that his next feud would be with Jungle Boy. He might get the first title shot.
Well, it just makes the most sense.
Yeah, we'll see where they go with this.
I mean, who's the hottest of the three guys that they have in terms of momentum?
Yeah, and I think he's the most improved as a wrestler too.
I mean, the guy just beat Christian Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Right. At the Buried Alive match or whatever the hell they called it.
we got Sammy Guevara versus Commander. This was fun. It was really just a way to get Guevara another win.
Yeah.
Commander is great. I still don't like Guevara. Um, Guevara's got go away heat with me, and he always will.
Yeah. Well, he does a good job of getting you that heat, doesn't he?
Um, we got a weird Hook Ethan Page thing. I kind of missed this. I got the point, but I missed what actually happened here. Hardy
Yeah,
turned on Page.
correct. Matt Hardy turned on him and helped Hook took the win.
And this was fine. We then
Right.
get the big announcement.
Yes, and I was very surprised to see there's old Nigel McGuinness.
Well, Tony announced earlier in the day that he was all elite, and he'd appeared on the ROH pay-per-view last week that we didn't watch, despite my will to. I'm just a cheap bastard who didn't buy it, if you want me to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of got swept up in all the WrestleMania shit, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we had enough going on.
Well, anyway, Nigel and Tony are there, and Nigel looks happy as a kid in a candy store. Nigel looks like he just like opened, an action figure of his favorite superhero on Christmas Day, and he's 10 years old. Like that's really what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and they announced that on August 27th, they're going to be running AEW All In at Wembley Stadium in London.
There you go.
That is going to be huge. I don't know if All Out is still happening. I would presume it's not. But I had heard that it is. So, I presume this is going to be a pay-per-view because I don't think they announced this
Yeah.
on TV if it's not.
Right.
Or maybe, you know what? It really could be a TV special. I don't know, but I presume it's going to be a pay-per-view.
I do
Or,
too.
they didn't announce that how this was going to go. So there was an interesting thing here, though. And I wanted to point this out because I haven't seen anybody else talking about it. It did say on the bottom, in coordination with Live Nation. I don't know if you guys know what Live Nation is, but they do a lot of concert coordination and concert filming and concert production.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in England, but in the States. I'm wondering if maybe they're not going to do this thing with Live Nation, and maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's kind of going to be their version of the network. Because I thought that was interesting because they've never, and maybe they're just the ticket provider because Live Nation both does, concert production in terms of, video and
Mm-hmm.
streaming and whatever, but they also do ticket sales. But they're selling tickets on Ticketmaster. So what's going on with that Live Nation thing? I think I wouldn't be surprised if they announced that it's going to stream exclusively on Live Nation. I would not be that surprised if that happens. Do I think it's going to happen? No, not right now. I don't. I think it's going to be on Fight TV or Bleacher. And I think it could be a Fight for the Fallen situation where it's free.
Yeah.
But because here's the thing, August 27th is a week before Labor Day. They're not going to run 2 pay-per-views in 2 weeks.
No, probably not. No.
WWE wouldn't even do that. So AEW is for sure not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
A live show from Wembley you wouldn't be able to run that in prime time here anyway.
I mean, you wouldn't
how
have
many
to run
hours
it.
ahead they are from us.
You wouldn't have to run it in prime time here. They ran Clash at the Castle last year and they ran that at noon and it worked fine. And August 27th is a Sunday. So you can run that at noon or 1 o'clock in the States, whatever, and have it be prime time over there. And it's Sunday, it's the middle of summer. It's the end of summer, really, because if you think about summer traditionally, you think about it in terms of when school starts and when school ends.
Yeah.
And that's how these wrestling companies think about that, by the way. They take into account that school thing because that dramatically affects their
Oh, yeah.
attendance,
Sure.
which is why WrestleMania is run that last weekend in March or that first weekend in April. Do you know why? Because that's when most schools are on spring
Sure.
break.
Sure.
So they'll get the kids.
Yeah.
We then get the Blackpool Combat Club against a bunch of jobbers. This was fucking hilarious
Yeah.
and great.
Wheeler, Moxley, and Yuta versus 3 guys. I have no idea who they were. I don't, if their names were mentioned, I missed it.
I think they were. Ask me if I was paying attention for that.
Probably not. I couldn't tell you who they were.
I don't have their names written down, so I'm going to say they didn't say them.
Right. Well,
Bryan Danielson came back last
wasn't
week.
Turbo Floyd.
Is Turbo Floyd going to be the new inside joke of this show?
I guess it is. We knew it wasn't Turbo Floyd. So
Turbo Floyd's over with me, brother.
yeah, I like him too.
I like his name. You know what? Turbo Floyd for AEW World Champion. Fuck yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Like that'll work. Right, Tony?
Right.
Tony? Oh, he hung up on me? Oh, shit. Anyway.
These guys, they're just brutal.
These are my 4 favorite wrestlers in this company right now. I am sick. I was sick of this Hangman Moxley program, but now that they've kind of got the Elite and the Combat Club dragged into it, I'm all for this.
Yeah.
And if this is a slow burn to get Hangman back in the Elite, by all means.
Well, you know, as Bryan Danielson said about Hangman Page, who says nobody loves this man.
I'm so game for another Danielson Hangman match, though. Like, if we can get another Danielson Hangman match, I am so game for that because the 2 matches they had were fantastic.
Well, Danielson has he could have a good match with just about anybody.
I'm pretty sure you could get in there with him.
Oh, I'd rather not. I'm sure I would hurt myself.
He wouldn't hurt you. You would find a way to hurt yourself, though.
Definitely. I'd hurt myself running away.
You'd be like, I don't want to be here right now, do I? Bro, pissed off Bryan Danielson's kind of scary, though. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hangman comes out to cut this promo off and gets stabbed
with a screwdriver.
This was genius. And there was no Elite. I want to point out that we found out, or I guess I knew kind of, but now it's been reported. Matt Jackson has an arm injury and he's getting bone marrow transfusions.
Okay.
So he's out for probably 6 to 8 weeks. I heard double or nothing, but that's always
right
shaky, especially if it's like bone marrow stuff. Like, you're not rushing that. If something goes wrong there, you don't want to rush that. So then we get my favorite tag team main event in a long time. FTR versus the Guns, titles versus career.
Yes. And FTR
all I have to say is thank fucking God.
Yeah. Well, the Guns were honored by FTR. FTR gave them the gift of FTR making them look good, even losing. They made them look tougher than they are.
Did they
made them
scare
look better
us.
than they are. It was a great match.
And man, did they scare us a couple of times in this match.
Yes, they did.
That finish, dude, the last 2 minutes of this match, I was so tense. I was like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. I'm thinking the Guns are going to beat them.
Well, I thought the Guns were probably going to beat them too, because I was thinking that it likely that FTR was going to go back to WWE. Apparently, they resisted that temptation, and I'm glad they did.
I don't know how real that was.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I wonder
they
if
could
that
have just
wasn't.
been, playing it that way just for the hype. In either case, it worked.
It could have been a bargaining chip to get more money out of Tony.
Yeah, I hope they did.
And if they used that as a bargaining chip, well played, champs. Well played.
That's
And I mean
right.
that in the literal sense with champs,
I hope
because
they did get more money. I hope they got a ridiculous amount of money because Tony Khan can afford it.
uh the end of this show was about as emotional as you can get over pro wrestling.
Yeah, this
F
was this was wonderful.
FTR
What
win the titles.
Look at this 2 hour show in contrast to what we had to go through on Monday night with Raw.
I don't want to talk about that Raw show
This
anymore.
was this was an emotionally uplifting show. After you watched this one, you felt good to be a wrestling fan again.
And FTR are celebrating, and then you hear "Reach for the Sky, boy." And here comes Mark Briscoe, and then they
Mm-hmm.
start playing FTR's music again, and everybody's happy, and there's confetti everywhere,
It was
and
nice.
they treated this like a world title match, and I respect it. Tag team wrestling should be valued this highly in every promotion. It's not. It
Mm-hmm.
is in New Japan, and it is in AEW, and it is in Ring of Honor, and it was even before they merged with AEW.
Right.
But I want to throw this out there. I think FTR are the best tag team in the world, and I
I do
think the
too.
Usos are a very close second. Now, I want to point out that if you put the Usos in any other company that isn't WWE, they are probably just as successful. Because I think they're that talented. I think you could put the Usos in any wrestling company, and I think they'd be this successful. I really do. I think they are that good.
Yeah, they are good.
I mean, I don't even think that's a question. Do we want to go over Rampage results really quick? We didn't watch the show, but do we want to just throw out results?
Throw them out there, just
Let
out
me
of curiosity.
pull it up here really quick. I considered watching Rampage and Battle of the Belts, but I did not. So first we got Rampage. We got the something called an FTW rules match between Hook and Ethan Page. I would assume that's like a no DQ match of some sort.
Probably.
I don't know. Hook gets the win with this just says submission. I assume Red Rum. There was a QTV segment. Glad I missed that. JAS and the Acclaimed beat some jobbers. JAS did attack the Acclaimed after the match.
Okay.
Swerve announced that he's joining the embassy, and then Brian Cage made a rare AEW appearance. We got Darby Allin beating Lee Moriarty. I assume that was a pretty good match. We had a sit down between Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie. Then we had Julia Hart beating Anna Jay.
Julia Hart, I don't think I've ever seen her wrestle. At least it's been since she joined the House of Black. I don't think I've seen her in a single match.
I have heard from Twitter that this match was very good, and it was also the main event of the show. Good on you, Tony, putting the women in the main event. Now do it on Rampage.
Yeah.
And give Sky Blue the TBS title, damn it.
She's the one to take down Jade Cargill.
No, it's going to be Taya Valkyrie, but
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that
we
makes
got,
sense.
and then we got Cassidy beat Dralistico to retain his title. Cargill beat Starks, Billy Starks.
Who?
So
Billy Starks?
Billy Starks is a wrestling prodigy in the most literal sense of the word. I think she might have just turned 18. And she's been wrestling since she was like 15.
Oh, cool.
She's fantastic. I've only seen her wrestle a couple of times because she can only wrestle in certain states, but she's on
Oh,
Dark every once in a while. And this was her first time on TV, to my knowledge. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention this. She's going to be graduating this year with like honors in high school and wrestling full time.
so she's got brains too.
If you're not already impressed by just what I've told you, you should be. Well, she lost to Jade Cargill. Anyway.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Everybody's been losing to her, but Jade Cargill has she had a good match with Sky Blue, and that was Sky Blue's doing. Yeah, I really believe so. Some certain wrestlers can make her look good.
I just think Sky Blue is really good. And I feel like a mark half the time, but like me and you come on here and all we do is scream about the fact that Sky Blue is a really good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this show's called Two Marks and a Spark, so
that's right.
We can afford to be marks on here.
Exactly.
And then we get the ROH tag title match. Lucha Bros beat Hobbs and Marshall. Thank God.
QT Marshall and Hobbs is a tag team.
Yes, sir.
I've been wanting them to use Hobbs more and more for a long, long time, and now how they're using him here just recently, I'm like, no, that's not what I
now
meant.
You're begging him to go off TV again.
I'm like, I want you to use the guy, but I want you to use him smart.
Speaking of smart, let's talk about Uncle Russ's comic talk.
All right, let's have
I take off this coat because it's hot in here.
All right. Uncle Russ's comic talk. New episode just dropped a couple days.
You should have wore the shirt. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Week. Got comic books for sale. We also feature up close looks at certain books and publications coming out. Coming up next week, we're going to have a focus on the big green guy, the Incredible Hulk, and what is probably the book of the year from Marvel. An Incredible Hulk book. That's literally, it's about like 3 feet tall, you know. Take a look at it. Uncle Russ's Comic Talk.
They've also got merch for Uncle Russ's Comic Talk. We've got a whole bunch of Lock 22 merch over on eBay, Lock 22 sellers. I'm hoping we're going to get 2 Marks and a Spark merch here pretty soon. We're in season 2 now. We should.
All right.
Anyway, we do have a bunch of stuff that me and you have been talking about this week that I think we're going to announce today. So let's get through this SmackDown show. That I want to point out. My DVR fucked up, so I did not see a lot of this show. I saw what I saw live, and I caught what I could. But there's something wrong with my DVR because occasionally what happens is, and it's not just my shows that does this too, my mom's shows does this too. Occasionally, like half the show will just disappear.
Oh.
No reason for it, just happens.
Well, I saw this live, and I think I caught most of it.
I did see the first match, which was Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. Right. This was great.
Yes, it was. This was
but it's Sheamus and Gunther, so I don't know how it could have been bad. And the Brutes won, which means Sheamus is getting another title match.
Yes, I'm glad, and I hope he sticks around for a little while. I've always been a big fan of Sheamus.
I want to point out,
I was impressed with Sheamus. You know, my first time I ever saw him was at a house show in Des Moines, and he was being brought in, and I didn't even know for sure what his name was because the audio on the announcer was really bad. This dude that was this big Irish guy just beating the ever-loving piss out of Jamie Noble.
Poor
And,
Jamie
you
Noble.
know, and I did some research and found out later this is a guy who on the indie scene, he was Sheamus O'Shaughnessy. And since then, I've been high on Sheamus ever since.
I really do think that they could put the title on him at some point. Obviously, they put the World Heavyweight title on him a couple of times. But we all know how much they devalued that belt by the time Sheamus got it.
Yes.
I miss Big Gold, by the way. I really miss Big Gold. And I hope I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, we get more long video packages.
Yeah. They just can't do enough recap into WrestleMania.
They're getting their money's worth on that Kevin Hart thing, though.
Yeah.
Getting their money's worth.
Oh, man, I guess so.
They must have paid Kevin Hart a lot of money.
Yeah.
So can we talk about the Auschwitz thing quick?
Yeah, bring that up.
I'm not acknowledging it until the SmackDown bit of this show because they didn't acknowledge it until right before SmackDown went on the air. I'm going to pull it up.
Sure.
I want to quote this right.
This is not something that was done accidentally.
No. This is coming from NBC News. I like to give credit to where I'm getting my stuff.
Right.
This article is written by David K. Lee. I will try to remind Damon to put a link for this article in the description so you can go read it yourself. If not, I'll put it on Twitter. He basically describes what happened. But what I want to read is I want to read the quotes. First, I want to read the quote from the Auschwitz Memorial. They said the following, and I quote, "Exploiting the site that became a symbol of enormous human tragedy is shameless and insults the memory of all victims of Auschwitz." I don't think I could have said that any better myself. Now here's WWE's response. First bit. This is from a WWE spokesperson. They don't label who.
Right.
And I quote, "We had no knowledge of what was depicted." Quote continues, "As soon as we learned it was immediately what it was immediately removed. We apologize for this error." Bullshit.
I'm not buying it.
Bullshit.
That's something that you have to go specifically looking for.
You want to know what I think happened? I think they got caught.
Yeah.
And I think they're sorry that they got caught.
Yeah.
Anyway. We got Ricochet versus Ivar next after a bunch of stuff in the back with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman and Caleb Braxton.
Yeah, Ricochet versus Ivar. I like Ricochet better as a singles. I'm not a huge fan of his tag team partner, Braun.
See, this match was too short for me. They should have given these guys more time. And don't give me this bullshit of, oh, Ivar can't do a longer match. Yes, he can.
Yeah, he can.
The guy was in fucking War Machine. Those guys would do hour matches weekly.
Right.
On the indies.
I mean, for a guy his size, he's got good cardiovascular fitness and he can really go.
Then we got Raquel and Liv versus Natalya and Shotzi. This was another very, very short thing. Raquel and Liv win. This was, I'm not even going to grade this match because the only purpose of it was to get Liv and Raquel a win.
Yeah.
And then we got...
Guys, they're headed toward having those belts.
And then we got the stupidest segment I have ever seen in my life. Emma, Madcap, and Xavier are in the back. Xavier and Madcap are playing 2K, WWE 2K, which, by the way, 2K23 is a great game. That is a total sidetrack, and it does not mean anything for this segment. But I want to give 2K their flowers because I don't think they're going to be making another game because I never bought the company, and they'll probably give it to EA and they'll fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
I am going on a rant and a sidetrack, and I'm going to move on. Anyway, LA Knight comes in, the crowd pops, whatever. Knight states he is angry that he wasn't on WrestleMania. He's mad at Snoop Dogg. He's mad at Bad Bunny. You should be mad at Vince McMahon. He mocks Xavier Woods for playing video games at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, poor Xavier couldn't get booked to save his life, so I don't really blame him.
Right.
I mean, the guy makes more money on his YouTube channel than he does his WWE contract.
Right.
For his gaming stuff. So do you really blame him for playing video games at WrestleMania?
Well, what was the point of this? I mean, we got LA Knight.
We got a match. Agreed to.
Right. Against Consequences Creed.
It's going to be a good match.
Yeah.
Triple H comes out.
Woods.
The daunted Triple H segment where everybody swore to God this guy was going to quit on live television.
Oh, I never bought that, but
admit it, you were watching this like one eye covered, like, oh, no, don't say what I think you're going to say. He didn't, thank God. He cuts his normal spiel.
Right.
Welcome to SmackDown. He kind of said something funny like, I know you've been here for a while, but welcome to SmackDown. Triple H is so funny. Like, Triple H is just naturally a very funny guy. He's like, I know you've been here for a while, but welcome to SmackDown.
Yeah.
He announces the draft. Doesn't give an exact date. I do have a date.
Okay.
It was reported after this by Worked Wrestling on Twitter. That is a real news outlet, by the way.
Okay.
That it is going to be the day after Backlash, which would make sense.
Sure.
The day after Backlash makes sense. Here's why. It allows them to wrap up everything they've got going on the current brands. And for everybody that's going to say, oh, most of the feuds are cross-brand anyway. Not really. The only one that's cross-brand right now is Dominic and Ray.
Right.
And that's it.
Usually when they do a draft, though, they stay a little bit more focused for a while, you know.
I think they're going to stay more focused for a long time if Triple H sticks around.
Yeah.
Because notice it's been less and less cross-branded stuff.
Right.
They've been doing it less and less and less. So I'm wondering if they're not going to cut it entirely after they get the belts off Roman.
Well, you got another pay-per-view, then they could wrap those storylines up, bring them to some kind of resolution.
So, or just put these guys on the same brand if you're going to keep it going. So champions included are going to be eligible for this draft. Something tells me that Theory is going to go to SmackDown. I don't know why, but I just get this weird feeling Theory is going to go to SmackDown. I think this is where you're going to see Braun Breaker get called up. Roxanne Perez is probably going to get called up. And I won't be surprised if Grayson Waller gets called up. I think you're going to see some NXT call-ups. I think you're going to see some surprises in terms of guys switching. We should do a mock draft, like just the top 10 picks or whatever. I think that would be fun for like an extra, but we'll talk about that later. It's just something I just pulled out of my ass, by the way. I didn't put any forethought into that and what that would take to do. But, you know, it's an idea. We might do it. We might not. I don't know. It's a fun idea. It'll give me and you something to do because God knows Monday Night Raw is going to be bad for a while.
Oh, boy.
We get the greatest Judgment Day promo ever. Rhea Ripley is so great.
Yes, she is.
This mommy thing that they've given her should have been a death sentence.
Yeah, but
it should have killed her.
It's working.
But my God, has she gotten it over? And they all cut this promo. Ray comes out, and he comes out with the LWO. It's Ray and Santos against Dom and Priest. I saw the very end of this match, and this is where my feed cut. But Dom and Priest get the win.
Yes.
And then my feed cuts, and I don't know what happened.
Well, let's see what else was on the show. I don't have much else. We've got
I saw the YouTube stuff for Uso and Zayn.
right. They announced the upcoming return of Shinsuke Nakamura.
I did see that on Twitter. I'm very excited about that.
Right.
Thank God he's back.
And then Jay talking with Sammy at the end of the show.
And then they had a match, right? That
Right.
I saw on YouTube.
And I tell you, I missed the last couple of minutes of it for some reason. I was at home and I was distracted by something, but
I saw it.
I can't tell you for sure who won that.
I saw Jay won, and Matt Riddle came out to make the save after they started beating the hell out of him after the match.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I totally missed that.
I want to know why Matt Riddle was here, other than just to get Matt Riddle on the show.
Well, yeah, well, he should stay on Raw where he belongs, right?
Actually, he should stay home and not work for WWE, but that's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
Puck University. They cover all things hockey. Go
Yes.
Bone Tom right here on Lock 22. Go check it out. All right, Russ, let's talk about some two marks and a spark business.
Yeah.
Let's talk shop, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Me and you have been talking over the week. I think we're going to start doing retro reviews next week. We need to figure out what we're going to do. We haven't decided yet. We're not going to make the decision here because that would be stupid. Because we could change our minds and we could tell you some totally false information. I don't want to do that. All I'm going to tell you is we're going to have a retro review next week in addition to what we normally do. I don't know what it's going to be yet. Russ doesn't know what it's going to be yet. We may
It'll be a blast from the past.
We may pull a show out of a hat. We really might. You know, that's what we should honestly do. I should get like a hat. We should write down a bunch of show names on it and just pluck one.
And then get something random, like WCW Thunder.
Russ, if you make me watch WCW Thunder, I will quit. Wait, I can't quit. I own this show. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think I want to start doing retro reviews because I've been watching 1996 Monday Night Raw and just having a whole ton of fun with it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to look at the olden days as they real.
I forgot how old over Goldust was. Like
Goldust was really over too, and Scott Razor Ramon was over.
Yeah,
really, really big back then too. I remember being at a house show at Betts Auditorium in Des Moines. My wife and I, and it was Double J.
Were those blue aprons as ugly as they look on TV now? Were they that ugly in person?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so they were just hideous.
Yeah.
They're just disgusting looking on television.
Right. But I heard Razor Ramon. That's the loudest ovation I've ever heard in my life. I mean, the floor was vibrating. That crowd was so loud for Razor Ramon.
It's weird he never won a world title anywhere.
Yep. And here I'm sitting there cheering for Double J Jeff Jarrett.
You
all by myself.
You fucking Mark.
Yep, that's right.
By the way, that match he had with Ahmed Johnson at the Royal Rumble in '96 was fucking terrible.
Well, Ahmed Johnson was kind of
an
interesting character.
Me and you should like do a deep dive on him for an extra sometime because that's a weird story. Like, I feel like me and you could talk about him for an hour. That's a weird situation there.
You remember when he came back a few years later and he showed up on WCW Nitro?
Didn't he show up on TNA too?
Yeah. Like quite a bit heavier than he used to be too.
Anyway, Uh,
Yeah, I'd like to
what
do
do we,
something.
what, let's give some candidates for this retro show, because me and you have thrown out a bunch of stuff. Let's give some candidates. I pitched the idea that we coordinate it with whatever premium live event or pay-per-view is coming up that month.
Okay,
So that would put us at Backlash.
right.
I don't know about you, but watching old Backlash sounds kind of appealing.
Yeah.
If we start in like 99, I don't want to watch Backlash 2021 ever again.
No,
So,
let's go back, 20 years or so.
do we want to do Backlash 99? Is that what we want to do?
All right. That sounds like a good candidate. I
I feel like
probably
that makes
saw it.
sense.
I can't remember, but
I feel like that makes sense considering that's what's coming up.
you know what the card was then?
Do we
Or the
want to
main
look?
event?
Do we want to look at the Backlash 99 card really quick?
Sure.
Okay, here's a preview for next week. I'm going to try not to give any results, even though it really doesn't
Oh
matter.
no, don't do that.
The show is 20 years ago. Actually, this show, I think, happened the same month I was born, if I'm not mistaken. I am mistaken. It happened in April
Okay. Of 99.
of 99.
Okay.
So we had the Ministry of Darkness against the Brood.
Darkness and evil, darkness and evil.
We had Hardcore Holly versus Al Snow. Oh, good God, this card is bad.
That would be all right.
Goldust versus The Godfather. This sounds fantastic. Oh, you're going to like this one, Russ. Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett against the New Age Outlaws.
Oh yeah. Sounds good.
Mankind versus the Big Show in a boiler room brawl.
Oh yes, I remember that now.
Oh, Jesus fuck.
That was a bloody mess.
Triple H and X-Pac. Why? Why is this happening?
Can't remember.
I don't know. Ken Shamrock versus The Undertaker. That'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock versus Stone Cold in a no DQ match with Shane as the referee.
Oh, that sounds like fun. That
I
sounds
want to
like
review this show now.
that sounds like a better card than what WWE showed us this week.
You know what? I think we should do this.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, and then I looked at the card and I was like, oh, it's a good show.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
All right, that's a good place to start.
And we're gonna switch it up every week. We're not gonna review like every Backlash ever because we're not sadistic.
Right. As long as we're doing old school stuff, we got to find something that's got my favorite female wrestler. That would be Molly Holly.
When surprised she's not on that card.
What's that?
I'm surprised she's not on that Backlash.
Yeah, she was. She was really one of the best wrestlers they ever had, I think.
Hang on, should I just go through Backlash cards until I find one with Molly Holly?
No, that's all right. We'll save her for a future reference.
I don't think I'm gonna have to go that far. Okay, there's no women's matches on this other card.
Backlash 99 sounds like a good place to start.
Oh, Backlash 2002 has Molly Holly on it, but that looks like that was a dark match.
All right.
Or sorry.
Don't worry about it.
2001. That Backlash 2001 poster is badass, by the way. Yeah. Anyway.
And we're still going to watch Raw and
AEW
SmackDown and Dynamite this week. But in addition to that, we'll take a look at some old stuff.
We're going to start doing retro reviews every week, or we're going to try to. Just because me and Russ don't like to shut up and we like doing long shows. So
that's right. Plus the fact that, there's going to be some weeks where that's the only good wrestler that we're going to see all week is the show from 20 some years ago. Sad but true.
We have been contemplating doing this retro show thing for a while. Since what? Episode 3? When we realized that we weren't going to hate each other was about the time that we decided to do this. And then my ideas started meticulously happening. So I think what we're going to do next week is we're going to do Backlash 99, and then we're going to do Russ's Choice, because I think we should do that. So Russ's Choice is where Russ picks the show. Russ, please have the show picked for next week.
All right.
So we can announce it.
And I promise I won't make you watch Thunder.
Wait for next April to do that and do it on like April Fool's Day, but that won't work because that's WrestleMania. So,
or sometime just for fun in the future, we could do like the worst wrestling of all time, and
me
have
and
like
Bryce did that.
our pick for the worst matches.
Me and Bryce did that. It's called Bryce's Gauntlet of Garbage. It was a lot of fun to do, but not a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
It was fun to talk about, but we watched December to Dismember 2006. I don't think I need to say anything else.
Well, I think the worst WrestleMania was WrestleMania 9. Far and away the worst.
Russ, if you make me watch WrestleMania 9,
I wouldn't put myself through that
again.
That show was really sucked, and that's what they really screwed over Bret Hart bad. Just to put Hogan over again.
Well, what I think you should do is, and we're not going to do this for the show, and I know we're still recording, and that's fine. But pad for time, brother. What I think you should do, because I just watched it, I think you should go watch Royal Rumble 1996 and tell me anything.
I will.
Only because I just watched it.
And Shawn Michaels won the Rumble?
Yeah, that was the year he won it 2 years in a row.
What number was he in? Do you remember? Is this one of the ones
17 or 18?
Okay.
And it is one of the weirdest Royal Rumble shows you will ever watch, and the main event has the shittiest finish ever. The main event is that really slow plotting match with no build that Taker and Brett had. And it's not like a bad match or anything.
Yeah.
It's just slow. There's a review of Royal Rumble 1996 for you. Fucking weird. It's just a really weird show. It's got Jeff Jarrett versus Ahmed Johnson. The Body Donnas versus Bart and Billy Gunn.
Oh, wow.
Skip and Zip.
Yes. Oh,
I remember bad wrestlers and Billy Gunn.
Taking my oldest son to see the Smoking Guns.
They were bad.
Yeah.
They weren't good. But I'm excited for the retro reviews.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I want to do an extra this week. I didn't do one this week because I recorded it 3 times and thought it sucked more and more every time, so I decided not to do it. And if it's not up to my standards, damn it, I'm not going to put it out.
All right.
Especially not if it's not this show. If it's just an addendum to this show, I'm not going to worry about it. I do want to do an extra this week. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'll figure it out. What else? See, we talked about Comic Talk. We talked about Puck You. We talked about Raw. We talked about SmackDown. We did the news stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, Shrewsworthy debuts May 2nd. I didn't plug that. I didn't plug that on Sunday. Oops. My bad. Sorry, guys. That's my new show. 9 a.m. May 2nd. Go check it out.
All right.
I think you'll like it. It's only 30 minutes. So if you don't enjoy listening to me talk for 2 hours,
maybe we can tolerate it for 30 minutes. Maybe that would be like the limit for some people.
Well, I'm still going to talk for 2 hours on this show because, damn it, I only see you once a week. So
just wrestling.
Well, that, and I got to get my money's worth. I only get to talk to Russ once a week.
Right.
Well, okay, me and you talk outside of this, but it's like over text.
Right.
And it's like, hey, fucker, this sucks. And that's literally a text I got this week, so that is not exaggeration. So in conclusion, Raw sucked. Worst show of the week.
Awful.
Dynamite was awesome. Best show of the week.
Very good.
I didn't bother with NXT because fuck that show. Didn't catch ROH.
That was just, you know,
SmackDown was a sign of hope. That's what I'll call it.
I'm too cynical to have hope. I'm talking about the WWE here.
I mean, that's fair. I don't blame you. I mean, look at what they did at WrestleMania.
I know.
I'm going to continue to watch 1996, by the way, because I'm having a lot of fun with that. And I'm up to In Your House, February, In Your House. And I only just recently found out that they did not have a go-home show for that pay-per-view. Do you know why?
Why?
The dog show.
Oh, yes. The
dog show preempted the February 12th, 1996 episode of Monday Night Raw.
See,
so
now
Nitro
that
ran unopposed.
Now the dog show is on. They're not on USA Network anymore, so that doesn't ever happen. But
no, the dog show is now on NBC proper.
Right, but I remember Raw every year would get preempted by the Westminster Kennel Club show, and that's
which for the first 2 years of Raw was often better than Raw.
Yeah, that's something my wife and I always loved. I always loved to watch the dog show too.
96 is when Raw actually started to get good. I don't think people realize that Raw was really bad for 2 years. And then they kind of figured it out.
You know, a lot of people talk about that very first episode of Raw, and there was a lot of crap on that show.
There's a lot of crap on that show, but Bobby Heenan's on that show, and thank God.
Right. That's when Conan was doing his gimmick. What the hell was it? Max Moon or something like that?
I don't know.
That's all right. Max Moon.
Kind of reminds me of Hugh Anus. Or whatever the hell heck Phil DeMott's fucking gimmick was at the end of
Humorous.
Oh yeah, Hugh Morris.
Hugh Morris, yeah. He had a lot of weird gimmicks.
I thought his name was Hugh Anus for some reason. Which is like
huge anus. And in this corner we have a huge anus.
Is that like totally unbelievable for 2000 WCW?
That's right, you know.
That's not unbelievable for WCW 2000.
No.
Oh, there's another bad show, WrestleMania 2000. There's another show for like the shit list.
Was that the one where we got Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar?
No, that was a couple years later. This was McMahon in every corner.
Okay.
That 4-way. That couldn't have gone. That was like, I don't know if you remember this, but that match was a total botch fest. There's botches everywhere on that show.
It's there for all to see.
It's the main event of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. You don't expect that to be full of botches.
It has the Big Show in it. I mean, love you, Paul White, but shouldn't have been in the main event of WrestleMania. Anyway, let's end this show before we get any more.
All right.
Before we dilute this product any more than we already have. Season 2 is officially underway. We roll on here next week. I'm going to try to do an extra this week. I'm going to fucking try. Don't make any promises.
I do
promise you, though.
See y'all next week.
You might see me and Russ on an extra this week. You might not. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not making any promises. Frankly, the reason I'm not making any promises is those extras almost rely on something happening. And if nothing happens, then...
Depends upon the news.
current events, as it were.
Current events.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you thought about this week in wrestling down below. As always, thank you for joining me and Russ here for our 90-minute saunter through the week of professional wrestling, and this show is a fucking saunter, where me and Russ go on about 50 different tangents about 50 different things, and occasionally we'll talk about pro wrestling. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you right back here next week on Lock 22. Enjoy the week in wrestling, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.